All right, welcome back to another edition of Canine Conversations. I'm your host, Robert Cabral, and this is my second video podcast I'm doing today. I did the members Ask Me Anything, and now we're doing another edition of Canine Conversations, our weekly podcast where we address everything dog, just about everything dog. And today we've got I'm going to do a Q&A because I'm so far behind on questions that I think it would only be fair to address some questions of viewers from everywhere. I may even have to jump over here and get on my questions from my Instagram, which I rarely get to. But just so you know, members' questions get answered every week. Social media questions get answered as soon as I can get to them, because sometimes it's really hard. Sometimes a lot of questions. I've got thousands of questions backed up, hundreds of pages, but we're going to get to some today. By the way, today's podcast is brought to you by the Fi collar. The Fi collar, go to tryfi.com, enter the discount code Robert Cabral, and you'll save $25 on one of these collars. This is the GPS collar that I use. It's amazing. It works very, very well. You can track your dog on your phone, and it tells you when your dog leaves the premises. You set safe zones. It tells you when the dog leaves, when the dog comes back. It also tells you who the dog is with, how much exercise the dog has gotten. It's really great. Anyway, so do it here. Tryfi.com. Tryfi, discount code Robert Cabral, save $25, and thank you for bringing this edition of Canine Conversations along. The first question we're going to get to is from the dog father, Jeff, I guess is your name. Robert, I have an 8-month-old Rottweiler puppy that I got at 8 weeks old. He's obedient and his best behavior with me, except when he wants to roughhouse, which is pretty often, LOL. But as soon as I leave the house and he is alone with my girlfriend, he starts getting into the trash, getting into shoes, biting at her, and jumping up on the couch, running in circles like a madman. He just absolutely does not listen to her and is hurting her with the biting. Do you have any suggestions for us, please? Yeah, so this is not uncommon. The dog will respect one person and won't respect another person. The best thing you can do is get your girlfriend involved in the training. She has got to hunker down. I went through this with Janet. Janet was frustrated with Goofy and Maya in the beginning, but she has blossomed into an amazing dog mom with these two very dominant, very strong dogs that your girlfriend can do it too, Jeff. You just got to tell her, hey, you've got to take part in the training. You've got to be strong with the dog. More than likely, she's cuddly, googly with the dog, and then that's making the dog want to play with her. He's seeing her as a pack mate and is having fun with her. So hunker down, do some training, get to the bottom of it. I think she's going to have a much better relationship with the dogs, and she's going to be less frustrated, and then that biting will start to stop as well. But she's got to get involved in the training. You should do that together. Watch some of my videos on my member section that really focus on structure training. Next question goes out to my AZ Star. What do you do when your dog knows the command of come after training him with treats, but now he won't come unless he gets treats, even though he knows the physical and verbal suggestions? He looks at me as to where's my treat, and if I don't have a treat, he doesn't mind. I shouldn't have to have treats in my hands 100% of the time to get him to mind, especially when he knows that he's being defiant. He has gone past the steps of knowing what he's being asked, but decides not to mind. How do I correct that behavior? You just answered your own question. You correct the behavior. You put the dog on a long line, and when the dog does not, this is an important thing. This is not like, oh, you're sitting crooked, you're sitting straight, you're doing this, you're doing that. Not coming to you is a defiant act on the dog's behalf that can get the dog killed, right? It starts with disobedience, but then it starts with the dog running around. Then they're going to run away from you. I would put a line on this dog, and I would correct this dog all the way into me. Come. And when he gets to me, I throw a huge party, because that's the important part. Don't scold the dog when he's not coming. That's what everybody does. They go, come. And then finally the dog comes, and then they yell at the dog. Why didn't you come on the first time? Well, he's not going to come on the first time if you scold him for coming on a third or fourth time. You must reinforce this. The treats have to be out of your hands. I've talked to you guys about this so much, especially during treat training. The treats are there. You're luring the behavior. Then you are rewarding behavior. You do not continue to lure behavior. You're making a huge, huge mistake if you continue to hold the treat up. The treat goes in a pouch, in your pocket, and you tell the dog, come. You run backwards. You create prey drive in the dog. And when the dog does not come, you correct him. End of story. Z. Livingston says, do you have any videos on frequency and hearing issues? My 6-month-old English Lab, Gus, barks excessively when in the crate and hears me or my children practice playing string instruments. He will stop barking when I let him sit under the piano, but still acts like he's in pain. I can't tell if it's a desire to be involved or if the sound is less annoying to him in close proximity. I've considered trying cotton balls in ears. Don't do that. And tune my violin and guitar to lower keys where the frequency is less intense. No, it's not going to help. Your suggestion on how to help him be comfortable. I'll tell you how. First of all, he's just wanting to be with you, and he is sensing that this other sound is creating his removal from you. You're putting him in another place, which is what I would do. Put him in a crate and let him listen to it. First of all, the decibel level is what's going to hurt the dog's ears, but a dog can hear up to 80,000 cycles per second, right? We can hear up to 20,000. They can hear up to 80,000 cycles per second. There's no sound it's not hurting their ears. So to get out of that, because if he can't hear it, it's not hurting him, but he can hear our hearing spectrum from 20 to 20 cycles per second or hertz, 20 to 20,000, and he can hear up to 80,000. So he can hear 4 times higher than you and I can hear, which is very, very high. But that has nothing to do with the problem. He wants to be with you. It's not hurting his ears. He's whining. He's trying to sing along. He's trying to do whatever he's trying to do, and you're going to have to fix that without thinking you're hurting the dog. Spidey Does It says, what do I do when walking my dog and other dogs in my neighborhood keep barking at it? My dog tends to get scared. Please advise. You're going to have to get the dog used to it, and maybe take the dog in some different neighborhoods if your neighborhood is full of barking dogs. But the most important thing that I would do is when the dogs start barking, keep your dog moving. Movement relieves stress in dogs. Simple as that. Movement. Don't talk to him about it. Don't baby him about it. Don't make a big deal about it. Keep moving. Have fun with your dog. MHK Swiss says, thanks, Robert. Awesome explanation. I guess that was on a video that you watched. What to do when my puppy, 11 weeks, pulls at the end of the long line and shakes her head to get free. Don't want her to get completely stressed about it further on. She's 11 weeks old. This is just part of what you're going to go through, part of the process of getting the dog conditioned that they're not allowed to, they're not allowed to grab the line. They're not allowed to do this, they're not allowed to do that. They can have fun, they can enjoy the game, but you need to be firm enough with the dog, but also permissive enough with the dog where the dog just enjoys training with you, because that's going to be a really, really important component in wanting the dog to train with you more. Otherwise, you're going to have a dog that doesn't want to train. So just be patient. That's basically what I'm saying. Just for Fun Family says, can you offer advice? My 6-month-old Belgian Malinois is fine with me, but always bites, scratches my wife when she walks him. How can I address this extreme aggression? First of all, it's not extreme aggression, right? If there's extreme aggression, the dog will be taking pieces out of your wife. That's the first thing. I would really work with a trainer at an IPO club, a Mondial Ring club, a French Ring club, who understands the drive of this dog and can show you hands-on how to work with this. This is almost impossible to explain over here, but if you got a Belgian Malinois, you should have been ready for this. This is not a pet to just get. I always say that, but people always get them. So you need to get a trainer who's going to work with you on this. Belgian Malinois. Look at my other podcast where I talk about, I've got the podcast out that's called So You Got a Malinois. There's I think 7 or 8 episodes of that talk about the issues with Belgian Malinois and working line dogs. Structure is the key to this dog, but you've got to get the dog into some kind of a structured training. It's not the dog to hang out on the couch and do nothing with during the day. The dog needs a job to do. The dog needs to be stimulated. The dog needs to be structured to have a happy life. They're great dogs in the right situations. They're horrible dogs in the wrong situations. Nick Griggs says, what's your opinion regarding socializing puppies at different ages? I know that at least in California, they should not be allowed to socialize with dogs or on grass that other dogs have access to until their vaccines are current, but they can be socialized with people first. Do you do this type of socializing with your puppy? Well, I'll tell you, Janet took Dwayne out really early in our neighborhood, and she felt fine that he wasn't going to have an issue. He had 2 vaccines. When he had the 3rd one, he was going everywhere. It wasn't a big issue. I don't know what you mean by socializing puppies at different ages. Maybe you mean stages. But yeah, the first thing, they should be around safe dogs. It means if you have a safe dog or you know somebody who has a safe dog, have that dog come over or go over to that dog's house and have them meet the dogs there. They should meet bigger dogs that are safe, because that's what they're going to grow up to be playing with. That's really critical. They should also be socialized with children, older people, people of different color, ethnicities, men, women, all kinds of different things. Because people always say, my dog's racist. He doesn't like black people. A dog doesn't dislike a person because of their color. They're not like people. Dogs have no racism like that. What they have is non-understanding of what they haven't seen. So if they haven't seen a black person, an Indian person, an Asian person, whatever, Hispanic person, then that's unfamiliar to them, and then they're going to act strangely. So what I do with my dog, I immediately get everybody I know, all my friends, different, ages, sizes, colors, whatever, and I get them to hang out with my puppies. That's important. You don't want the dog to see anything as strange. That's going to be really important to help your dog be really well socialized with all kinds of people. Robert DeRupo says, hi, Robert. Thanks for all the great instruction. I have a 13-week-old Keishan pup that has been doing great in most aspects. However, even though he is 95% housebroken, he occasionally tends to pee on his bed right after coming in, after relieving himself. He does this on his crate towel as well. I understand he's probably marking. However, this is not a good habit to allow him to continue. Every time I wash the bedding, he remarks the bedding. Any suggestions? Well, first of all, if it's the same bedding, I would make sure that you're washing it with an enzymatic cleaner to get that scent out of it so he doesn't tend to remark it. And the other thing, too, is you're going to probably need to correct this dog for doing that. And it's not a harsh correction. Please don't be harsh with the puppy. But if you see him starting to do it, you can grab the scruff of his neck and go, hey, knock it off. Just startle him a little bit. He's not allowed to do that. But don't scold him. Don't yell at him. Don't hit him. Don't rub his nose in it or anything like that. Just express your disappointment with it, and I think it'll send a good message to the dog. Jen says, hi, Robert. How long after introducing a new puppy into the household, do you recommend keeping he or she in the crate as well as on leash? Thank you for taking time to answer my question. Have a wonderful day. You're welcome, and I'm happy to answer your question. And my answer to that is depends on the dog, but generally 1 year. 1 year of crate training or having the dog tethered near you if you want a solid dog. If it's a super mellow, chill, Labrador or whatever, not a big deal. They'll probably acclimate themselves much better and faster. But my general rule of thumb, with Malinois, I say a year and a half, 2 years. But, that's not saying they're completely crated the whole time. It's when I'm not paying attention to them, I put them in a crate, I try to give them some structure and give them some protection so that they don't do stupid stuff that could get them hurt. That's my answer to that. I got to get a drink of water. So, Travis Alex, I don't know how you say it, says, I have a question. So I'm working with a 13-week-old pug. He has a soft sit down, not perfect yet, and he does it with and without a treat. While training this and he makes a mistake, what should I do to get him back and start over? While training this and he makes a mistake. So maybe you're saying he makes a mistake while he's doing it. If he makes a mistake while doing it, tell him, no, come on, and keep the no very playful, right? You don't want the no to be an abrupt, harsh no. You want it to be like, hey, that's not what I wanted, and re-energize the dog to try it again. Right, so I would say that if you're going to use a no with a puppy or a dog when you're first training them, the no is a nope. So I say, nope, that's not what I wanted. And then I get the dog to do it again. And when they do it, I get super excited. Also, when they don't do it properly, I express less emotion. When they do it properly, I express a lot of emotion. And I think that makes the dog happier because they see that my happiness becomes their happiness. Marias Land says, hi, could you please help us? My puppy turned 4 months old today, male. He never showed any aggression, neither to us nor dogs. Today I was teaching him leave it. Everything went great until I started using a boiled chicken head. And boiled chicken meat was as a treat. He got crazy. When I told him to leave it, grin, he started to jump on my legs trying to bite me. My husband came to help, took the puppy up in his arms. Then the puppy bit his cheek. My husband hold him, tried to settle him down, as I understand this happened because he did not get this chicken head in the end. He never tried it before as well, right? We never beat him, of course. I hope not. It's a 4-month-old puppy. Please tell us what we should do in such situations. Should I keep using this kind of food for leave it to provoke him, or should I stop using it? How to behave if he will get crazy like this again? All right, so a couple of things, Marias. First of all, I don't know. I've never used a boiled chicken head. I've used chicken meat. But when you're first teaching a dog a leave it command, use lower value things, like a dry jerky treat or something like that. I always use dry jerky treats. They work great. So they leave it. They understand the leave it. Don't start off with the most powerful thing. Like with a Malinois, I wouldn't start off with a leave it with a tennis ball. I'd start off with a piece of jerky treat, then a tug or something like that, and that would work into the tennis ball, something that would be very, very stimulating for the dog. Now, apparently your chicken head here is very stimulating to your dog, and he really likes it. If a dog does something wrong and starts jumping up, we don't pick him up because they're in an excited state. If we pick him up in an excited state, generally, the dog will continue that excitement and carry that excitement to the next level, like nipping your husband on the face. So again, this is not super aggressive. He was probably crazy. He's probably just snapping, and your husband put his face in the dog's line of travel of the teeth and got bit. So I would not have done that. If the dog is excited, put them on a leash, tell them, hey, knock it off, take your energy to a lower level. People oftentimes take their energy to a higher level when they're trying to get the dog to go to a lower level. And then that sets a really bad precedent for the dog, right? So if you want the dog to calm down, you have to calm down. You can't meet excitement with excitement and expect calmness. That's really important in dog training. So that's what I would do. Angel with a shotgun. I just recently discovered your channel and it's now my favorite. Thank you. Very clear and straight to the point. Thank you so much. You're welcome. I have a question though. Is it possible for a Malinois to stay 4 to 5 hours a day on weekdays home alone without him getting stressed nor destroying my house? Obviously, I would dedicate all the time to him before and after those few hours. You know, I don't think it's impossible. You know, I mean, I don't really know. You know, I would look at what kind of dog he is and what you're going to do to him, you know, with him, what kind of training. I got to fly in here. I got him. What you're going to do with them, what you're going to, you know, how much training you're going to do. But if you give the dog a lot of stimulation, a lot of exercise, and then you put him in a crate, leave for 4 or 5 hours and come back and train him again, I mean, I don't think that's really unreasonable. I don't think it's really that hard on the dog. I wouldn't really leave him much longer than that, but I would definitely crate him or confine him or kennel him. And I know a lot of dogs that are kenneled, and I don't think 4 to 5 hours at one stretch is a lot if he's stimulated, exercised, and tired out before, and then he gets some more stimulation afterwards. That would be my suggestion to you. But please, before you get a Malinois, whatever you do your homework, do your research, go to a good breeder. Do not get a puppy off Craigslist. Please, please don't do that. Don't get a puppy off of, you know, some neighborhood breeder, you know, something like that. Get a good dog like this guy right here. All right, good boy, Goofy. Goofy. See over here, Goofy? I'm trying to work. Goofy, come on, you got to get off. Come on, off. Hey, come on. Hey, I got to work. He thinks it's all about him. There you go. There's a perfect example of a Malinois for you. Smitty Jaegermann Jensen. I get the sit command, but how do you get the dog to stay until he's released even when you throw the treat down? Being that you are throwing the treat and releasing the dog at the same time. Won't the dog relate the throwing of the treat as a release? No. The throwing of the treat can be a distraction, but it's not a release. The release is my verbal cue of yes, where I cue the dog to that. Watch my videos on sit. You know, watch my videos on release. Watch my videos before you ask that question, Smitty, because I've covered that the treat is not necessarily the release. The treat is the reward. And when people start using the treat as the release or the treat as the lure, that's where you run into these problems like we talked about in the beginning of the podcast, where dogs tend to get in big trouble. Craig First. It's almost like Craigslist, right? Because before I said don't go to Craigslist. So Craig's First is not Craigslist, because Craig says, love your videos, Robert. Thank you. You're welcome. I hear what you're saying here, but how to balance with socializing a puppy? We just adopted a 5-month-old purebred pit bull lab mix. They're all pit bull lab mix at the shelter, by the way, even if they're not labs. Near as we can tell, perhaps more pit bull than lab, probably. And want him to be a well dog socialized, doing great so far. If he never ever meets other dogs, he'll be the boy in the bubble, won't he? Anyway, thanks for your videos. Excellent question. Excellent question. And the answer to that question is, you want him to meet other dogs, but you want him to meet safe dogs in safe environments and safe situations for short periods of time, early on. So he's 5 months old. You need to find some friends who have dogs that are neutral, that will meet him on a neutral level. And I would make sure that when he meets those dogs, that it's for a very short duration of time, that it's very comfortable for him, that there's no stress, but keep it super short and make sure there's very few interactions. So if the dog gets really scared or the other dog becomes super playful or dominant and he snaps and the other dog snaps, that's where you get into problems. So keep the meeting short. It can only be it can be a minute or 2 minutes. Anything that's positive for the dog is a really good experience. Don't take it to the limit and let your dog get in trouble. That's a bad idea. Jet Rocket Boy says, what tips do you have on walking multiple dogs? Have a puppy and a 2-year-old that always tangle up and pull when together, but when separate, they're fine. Appreciate your vids. Not sure how I came across them, but they've been very helpful with a new puppy. I think that's great, Jet Rock Boy. First of all, if you have a new puppy, walk the puppy alone for a while, right? Get them together for super short durations of time, because people always try to get to, you want to be like the person walking 10, 20 dogs. That's not cool. With our dogs, I'll walk Goofy and Maya together rarely. I like walking them alone. I think it's a really nice bonding time for them and myself. So I don't have any problem with it at all. But when I put them together, I demand a little bit more attention from them because they will pull and they will act stupid because that's just what dogs do. They get into the prey mode, they start to bounce off each other, they trigger off each other, and then you're going to have dogs that are just pulling and acting like knuckleheads. So be sure to give some good structure first, and then you can get the dogs together. But don't rush putting them together the whole time. It's not going to be good. Ali Reza Nouri says, hey, Robert, please help. I got a German Shepherd puppy and trained him for 7 months. I used to take him for daily walks, could trim his nails. I worked with him every morning and taught him lots of commands, sit down, stand, come, etc. Everything was great. Then I had to go away for a project, and I was away for 6 months, and my family took care of him. I know where this is going. After I came back, when I take him outside, he barks at strangers. I can't trim his nails. He won't let me. I can't take him to the vet. He won't let the vet get near him. He barks, and after the vet still tries to get close, he runs away. His paw is injured, and now I cannot apply the ointment the vet prescribed. He's now 1.5 years old. What can I do? Is there hope? Yes. There's always hope because you trained the dog in the beginning. You spent 7 months training him. So for some reason you had to leave the dog for 6 months. That's not good. I mean, it's not good. Not that it's bad. You probably have to work or do something important in your life, and you can't just live your life around your dog. That's not good. But what you want to really focus on here is the idea that you got to start from the basics, right? You got to go right back to the beginning, and it's all going to be unstructured. It's all going to be based on the focus on you, the leave it, the here, the come, the stand, the stay, mainly the focusing on you, because that's going to give him the trust again. You have to give him commands. He has to obey them. Based on that, you can regain the trust of the dog. And once you regain the trust of the dog, all this other nonsense will be wiped away. Sorry. I wish there was, sometimes everything really goes back to obedience. You're kind of getting the theme in my podcast and my videos and everything. It's all about obedience. Ellen says, I hope you get this message. And I did. Don't know how to get in touch with you, but you did. My 3-year-old German Shepherd gets very stressed out in thunderstorms. Even before it starts thundering, she hides away. That's because she's hearing it already. She can hear the lightning. She is not gun shy. We tried that already. She is so sensible when a storm is coming. Feel so sorry for her. Is there anything I can do? Would love to hear your opinion. So first of all, you're feeling sorry for her, and that's going to make it worse because that's when you're going to coddle her, and your energy levels are going to be higher when you're feeling sorry for the dog, and then the dog is going to pick up on that and sense something's wrong. So it becomes this catch-22. It's like the old thing they say, the dog looks guilty when I come home and he peed on the rug, but he's seeing that you looked at that, and then you're looking at him and he's mirroring that. So if the dog is upset and then you think he's upset, and then you mirror that back and forth, you're playing off of one another's emotion, and it's festering it, make it worse. So, Goofy doesn't like fireworks, and when we have fireworks, I just ignore him. I put some music on, I close the windows, do whatever, but I don't make a huge deal of it. I don't hold him and coddle him and do all these things. You might consider a thunder shirt. I don't know. I'm not saying it's going to work. Some people like Rescue Remedy. They say that works. There's these pheromone things you can put in your wall. You can try them all, right? But the bottom line, what I would really strongly suggest is don't coddle the dog. Don't let the dog see that you're buying into their fear, because that makes the fear real. If you kind of ignore it and kind of like, okay, well, be fearful. Why you want to be fearful, but there's nothing to be afraid of. Eventually, you'll probably get the dog out of it. Betty McConnell says, how can I calm my German Shepherd down when she is around cats outside and all her training goes out the window? She chokes herself to get to them. I try to avoid them, but always seem to meet one. My girl is 1 year old, and that is what we call prey drive. Prey drive is the desire to chase, hunt, kill, and eat the thing they see, the animal they see. And that's what she's going into. Now, she may only be doing it in a playful way. She wants to play with the cat. But what you're going to need to do, you're going to need to have the dog on a corrective type collar, whether that's a prong collar or a choke collar or something like that, or even a martingale. And when the dog sees the cat, you're going to need to make a 180-degree turn and go the opposite direction. And that's it. When the dog starts focusing on you, go back towards the cat. If the dog starts flipping out, you need to get the dog before they make the commitment to the aggression or the prey drive, and then make your turn so that the correction is firm. And when the dog is paying attention to you, we reward. It's easy, actually, but it takes work. It's not easy. It's doable, but it takes work. James Alexander says, how do I ask a question? You just did. I have a 4-year-old. Here's your question. I have a 4-year-old German Shepherd and a 5-month-old German Shepherd. Training the pup is awesome. She's so good and focused when we're alone. The problem is walking her with my older dog. She ignores me completely and just focuses on the other dog. That's because the other dog is more interesting than you. I've tried upping the rewards, but she's not interested. That's not the way to do it, right? Upping the rewards, more treats, ain't going to do it. So any advice would be appreciated. So here's my advice. First of all, walk the puppy alone. Build a very solid relationship with the puppy so that the puppy focuses on you. The puppy focuses on you and sees you as somebody who's fun, somebody who's interesting, somebody who they want to be around, somebody they want to listen to, somebody they want to engage with. Then slowly introduce the older dog again. Because you're getting taken advantage of, right? The dog is opting to pay attention to your other dog because the other dog is more fun. And that's something that you have to be super careful with when you bring two dogs into the house, because dogs will become doggy, which means they'd rather be focused on the dog than on you. And then you got a problem. Connie says, I love your videos. I've rescued Springers for a while and never had a structured plan. I do have a question. What is the best order of training when bringing a dog home? After crate and building a relationship, do you recommend sit first? Well, so first of all, after crate training and building a relationship is really what training is. The order of sit downs, come, whatever, I don't have an order to that. I should say I do teach a down before a sit, but the main thing I teach a dog is engagement, to pay attention to me, to want to be with me, to want to look at me, to want to engage me, to do that. I do that usually through hand feeding and teaching a binary approach of yes and no, teaching the dog what I want, what I don't want. I use yes for giving food, no for withholding food. That teaches the dog that simple system of black and white, yes and no, good and bad, positive and negative, and as such. So that's it. You're going to build a relationship and then teach the dog it down. The three most important things, you can watch my video, the three most important things that every dog should know are a solid recall, a solid leave it, and a solid stay. That's it. Other than that, it's all fun. How to break Rajic says, how to break my dog's fear from street dogs. She's 4 months old, German Shepherd. You know, I don't know where you live, but I'm assuming you live in Mukjiri. Maybe you're from India or something, or Pakistan, and there's a lot of street dogs. I get it. It really sucks. So it's hard for you with your dog to get this engagement or get this focus, because the dog is always focused and worried about other dogs. So, I mean, what I would do is I would feed the dog their meal on the walk so that the dog stays engaged to you, and it's going to be hard, but put all the food in a pouch and just give the dog food while you're walking. Keep the dog moving, keep the dog eating, so the dog builds a focus and gets past this whole idea of being nervous around the other dogs. Please, the most important thing you're going to need to do is to never let your dog get attacked by another dog. That's it. If you can do that and keep the dog moving, keep the dog engaged to you, I think you'll solve the problem. But the minute they get attacked by another dog, they either become very dominant and very assertive, or they become very fearful and very regressive, and you don't want either one of those. Nick Grigg says, I have a neutered 7-year-old male Shih Tzu, West Highland Terrier, soft-coated Wheaten Terrier, Poodle, Yorkie Terrier mix. That's a lot of mixes. A lot of mixes. Yeah, I know. 25 pounds. That's almost like 1 pound per mix. Anyway, I've got him respectable, nearly, on the leash. The problem I'm having during walks is his unpredictability with other dogs out for a walk. He's a terrier. Terriers are terrible with other dogs. Not all of them. I know. I'm going to get an email. Oh, my terrier is great with other dogs. In general, terriers are not good with dogs. Not good with any animals. They're bred to be, hunters, vermin hunters. Okay. Some he wants to be buddies with and play with, while others he wants to pick a fight with. The terrier. And it doesn't matter the breed of the dog. His best walking buddy is a mini poodle, and he likes to play with 2 border collies. He loves to try and be dominant with a blue heeler while they play together. So what you got to do here is you just got to be in control of your dog. That means you've got to tell your dog what he can do, what he can't do, who he can play with, who he can't play with, when he can play, when he can't play, when the play is over, and a discussion. That's it. That's it. And don't let him meet dogs that if you have a feeling that he's not going to be good with that dog, don't let him meet that dog. Don't take any undue chances. It's not a good idea. So anyway, all right, that is the end of our podcast for this week. Nice getting some questions and answers out of the way. I hope you guys enjoy that. Like I said, today's podcast was brought to you by the Fi Collar. The Fi Collar is the only GPS collar that I use, and it is a wonderful, wonderful tool. Keeps your dog safe. Look at it. It's really a nice little piece of equipment. It's a really good fashion piece. Look at those designs. Really super cool. And then you get the app on your smartphone. It could be an iPhone, it could be an Android, and works fantastic. I watch where my dog goes for walks. I can see who my dog is with. If my dog is with me, if my dog is with Janet, I can see where they're going, where they are, and God forbid if they got lost, I could find them. I could recover them. So it's Goofy and I saying goodbye. Saying goodbye for another edition of Canine Conversations here. Hope you enjoyed the podcast. Please subscribe. Please share this podcast and everything I do with all your dog-loving friends. And I'll see you soon. Take care.